Spatialized narrative or spatialized tableau. These terms describe the way we actually experience historical events and stories about events when they have been transmitted to us in an unreal, alienated manner, as if from our detached standpoint, we were watching them on a two-dimensional spatial mental screen. The idea that the founding fathers created the country and then we were born and became citizens of it and must follow the founding fathers' intent as a condition of our membership in it, that is the country, is an example of a spatialized narrative of this kind. In contrast with the recovery of an actual historical lived experience through empathy and recovered existentially true knowledge, to the extent that this is possible. So this is another quite important idea. When we're taught about the world as children, when we learn history in school, the way it's taught to us as when we are, so let's put it this way. So we're born into the world with tremendous creativity and life force and full presence in our eyes. Then we're gradually drawn into the family, then gradually drawn into the schooling environment where you become taught how to be and what true knowledge is. That's when you first experience history as it's taught to you. And that almost always is initially taught as a spatialized narrative where you picture, you are taught in a way that leads you to picture events of the past happening as if in a movie in front of your eyes. There were once the founding fathers, and they were very important. And they created this great document, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And this document is very important. And it's got something, it's got something about indivisible in it. No, that's the Pledge of Allegiance. The point is, these are all taught in a kind of magical way, as if they're a movie, and you are taught to believe in them, as if they are the fixed narrative that you, that is your social self, is a part of. You are one of the citizens of the country founded by the founding fathers. Well, it's not that this is completely untrue. It's that the truth is a historically complex experience that of an earlier generations coming together to try and affirm themselves in a complex way. It involved racism, it involved class, reproducing class patternings, but it also involved courage and creativity. There are all kinds of ways of capturing what in the past really took place. But the way it's taught is as a kind of superficial narrative in a movie. That's what I mean by a spatialized narrative that forms a tableau in front of you that you are taught to believe in. That's what a spatialized narrative is. So all events in the world, even current events, so-called, are usually taught in this spatialized way. Right now, Iran is bad in the spatialized narrative. We are good. So there's a mental picture of a we, that's a false we in my book, but there's a mental picture of a we that is good and an Iran that is bad. And Iran does bad things, and we, the good people, try to prevent the bad things from happening. It's not just that that's superficial, it's that it isn't capturing anything like the historical creation of the Iranian people, the true story of how they came to be who they are, the richness of our own story or their story is suppressed in the spatialized story that we see before our eyes as something that we believe in, So what happens when you overcome the spatialized stance is you develop what you might call a temporal stance, where you don't just look at in space at something happening before your withdrawn eyes, but you see yourself and your own existence as part of a world in which other existences have emerged and come into being. Language, if say I don't speak Danish, but I was just watching a television show in which somebody in Danish says the word 9 months, but it's 9 mus, something like that. Well, if you can grasp tribes coming into being long ago who varied their sounds according to particular location and climate and what group they were in, so that the same sounds that were very close, 9 months, 9 mus, became separated and distinct. And you can then see how languages emerged out of groups coming into existence. This describes the origin of the common languages that we speak in a way that adds the element of their creation, rather than Danes say it this way, we say it the other way. We say 9 months, they say something else. I don't know if 9 mus is correct or not. The created version of the language versus the fixed version in which you see it from the outside as a thing.
Well, I did that video a little while ago when Iran, for example, was very much in the news. Now they've fallen off the news. They're not the evil other anymore in the story. But the main thing I wanted to add to what I said there is to emphasize the element of detachment in the viewer of the spatialized version of events, either current or past. That the idea that things are communicated in a way that we are watching from the outside as withdrawn observers, rather than in a way that brings to life events in a way that we are part of. That latter way of conveying current or past events makes the listener feel part of the reality, and therefore makes us brings a sense of here-ness to us, rather than something happening out there that we watch from a distance as a story in space in the way that a movie is in space, a two-dimensional external tale. That's a very, very important distinction, because the crucial leap out of our alienation and separation is coming into the present moment ourselves, as we are drawn into social events that we ourselves are a part of. We are not detached viewers watching something else from a distance, but we're co-participants in the co-creation of the world. And to give a sense of that, all past events and present events have to be conveyed as something in the process of creation, full of ambiguity and moral potential, let's say.